everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
Good, thank you.
My stuff.
Yeah, this is. Good to be back. Each year, last year there was. Let me say what I'm doing. So, I've been gone to Honolulu. The state of Hawaii, the Department of Health and Human Services, contracted to do services. Last year there were 10,000 child neglect or abuse cases, 10,000 in the state of Hawaii. These are reported cases. They have set up a hotline where people can call in if you hear or see, what happens is you see kids being slapped around by neighbors or in the parking lot or in the shopping center, or in the store. A lot of times neighbors would call this hotline, and there were 10,000 of them last year alone. And then there are a lot of them are not unreported. These are people who are concerned about children because the children are very unique. They have a very unique position. They absolutely have nobody to protect them except for the parents. And if the parents are not protecting the children, who do they have? So that's where the state steps in and becomes the protector of those children. And out of those 10,000 cases that was reported for neglect and abuse, 7,000 of those cases are confirmed cases. These are the cases where, when they go into a hotline in Honolulu, and then they have people who are trained and qualified to process it, and then they will come up with a guideline or protocol by which they establish, yes, these cases are, and so then it goes to the court, and the court then sends to us, who are the therapists or the counselors working with these children. My theory is that mostly the children don't lie, they tell the truth. So if I really want to know what really happened, we do what we call investigation. We take them to the Children's Justice Center in Kona, and then we have techniques and skills that we have used in the past to get information from children. And most of the time, my personal conclusion is that children normally don't lie, they tell the truth. And it's very painful, not only for them, it's for us, who are therapists. We have to not get involved emotionally. Sometimes you get angry. How can somebody do that? For example, there's this particular case in Honolulu where this mother had some mental health issue. So the person who was working with her felt like she was able to get her act together. And the person responsible are the social workers, and they basically said, okay, her child was taken away from her because of mental health issue and also substance abuse issue and neglect and abuse. So this child was recommended by the social worker to say, okay, you can spend one weekend, just one weekend, that night. So the child was returned to the mother. The mother takes the child, and that night she fills the bathtub with water and drowns the baby and kills the baby. And so you have to, the person who recommended that, either it's me or a social worker or therapist or whoever, has to live with that decision. So it's an awesome responsibility, and you have 26 cases, most of them are sex abuse cases, and how do you deal with it? You come home and you try not to, mix that your professional life into your family life, because you do have a family, and so it's a very challenging responsibility. And then recently I've been going with this new training for this new responsibility that I will be taking as of September. And I begin to get a bigger picture of the whole state, not just the Big Island, but the whole state, because we are dealing with all the state officials. And to realize, the reason I say that, I said, as the Unification Church, as the members of the Unification Movement, we don't have that problem much, because we have a very basic understanding, a good foundation, and we know, how important for us to have a God-centered family, how important for us to realize the children that are born in this relationship are as blessed couples. These children, second generation children, we use that word second generation. Basically, they are blessed children. So we treat them with a lot of respect. I don't hear, it's not just dealing with social economic status who are lower in the status, but also we have very wealthy people involved in the department, in the DHS system, and in the system we call Department of Human Services. So we don't have that problem in the Unification churches as much as you will find that in the Christian church. Now, isn't that something? It's a really eye-opener, because as I begin to study the cases, all these cases, I said, there's questions we ask her. Do you have any religious affiliation or church affiliation? And you will find that most of these people are somehow associated with the church here in Hawaii. So my question is, okay, now there's something the church is not doing. We don't have that. And I haven't come across one person, here in the Big Island, or because my jurisdiction is, from all across this Big Island. And now I'm extending over to Honolulu. So, I'm not just talking about one isolated town. I'm talking about the whole state, And so, when I study those families, I haven't come across any. I'm so glad that I haven't come across anybody who's associated with our church. But I came across a lot of the families who are affiliated with the church. So the reason I say that is because we do have a formula. You know what I'm saying? We do have a formula. And the boundaries that we set with our children, with our families, as to what they can, what they cannot do. And yet, there's a big chunk of our society is not have the formula. So this morning, last Sunday I was in Honolulu. I was sharing with the church, and the basic reason as to, I often struggle with that. I just don't want to rub it on you or anyone here. But I said, why are we here? Why are we here as a unificationist? What is our purpose? Is that come here and sing a few songs and shake each other's hand and have some coffee and donuts? And why are we here? And that question is burning inside of me. I said, I don't want to be a part of a church just for the sake of being a part of the church. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. I've done that for 40 years. I want to be part of a group of people who are going to make a difference in this community. See, if you study Reverend Moon's life, that's what he does. That's what he does all his life, is that, whether you want to come with him or not, whether you want to join with him or not, he will go ahead and do, and he will make a difference. And he's not going to say, okay, how many of you, raise your hand, how many of you, no. Have you ever seen him say, raise your hand, how many of you want to, no. See, Reverend Moon hears directly from God. He directly from God through prayer. And then he passed that information to us. I said, if you want to be part of it, fine. If you don't, then I'm going to still do it. So the question we need to ask ourselves, it's not that